This is the CBS College Sports Network, and what a moment this is as we welcome in the guys from CBS Sports just a few blocks away. Greg Gumbel, Clark Kellogg, and Seth Davis. Guys, we watched the show. It was exciting. What is the theme of this bracket?
First of all, it is such a joy for us. We're just helpless here. Thank you so much for having us. You know, the interesting thing about it, as we've sat here now 15 minutes after the show has ended, is that there are no real gripes, there are no real beefs, and that the selection committee did a terrific job of picking the best teams in the best situations.
I certainly feel that way, Greg, and typically I feel that way anyway most of the time, simply because it's such a challenging job. I had a chance to be part of a mock selection process about a month and a half ago and understand the volume of information that's available, the dedication and passion that the committee members have for trying to get it right. It's not perfect. The subjectivity comes into play. But at the end of the day, I think there were some things that helped the committee. Kent State being an automatic qualifier, for instance, UNLV being an automatic qualifier. I think those things kind of help clear the air a bit.
And those contingencies with Georgia and Illinois having to deal with that today obviously was not easy for them. And I think what also happened, guys, is you just had an inordinate number of bubble teams lose. You go back to Black Thursday, last Thursday, one after the other. All these teams had a chance to make their case to get into the tournament. So I think it's kind of hard to look at these teams who didn't get in and say, hey, we have a very strong case. You really could just flip a coin between a lot of them. I mean, I think the two that are going to get the most discussion are Arizona State and Virginia Tech. And I said this during the show. You cannot just look at conference records anymore. You have to go inside and look at who they're playing. Virginia Tech had the weakest ACC schedule, and the only good team that they beat was Miami. It's a shame that they lost such a close game to North Carolina. And had they beaten North Carolina, I think they would have gotten in. But a win is a win, a loss is a loss, and close doesn't count.
And, guys, we'd hate to think where we would be if the committee didn't show up a day earlier this year than they have in previous years.
That's right.
Guys, Steve Lapis here. Which one of these one seeds has the easiest road to the Final Four?
The easiest road, I would probably move out west with UCLA, Steve, just based on looking at the seeds, the top four. And I only qualify it by the top four seeds, and that's UCLA, Duke, Xavier, UConn. UConn has been a little inconsistent lately, a dangerous team nonetheless. Xavier is terrific, but a little undersized. And Duke is a team that's a bit undersized. I think all of those teams would have a challenging time with UCLA, with the exception of UConn, because they've got a big guy in the middle.
Well, I think everyone's going to have a tough time with UCLA. Both of us picked on the win. But I agree that they have the easiest bracket. I was a little bit surprised to see Duke as a 2 and Wisconsin as a 3. I think the fact that Duke beat them by 22 points back in December had a big role to play in that. And then as far as the toughest bracket is concerned, I think maybe the South, we were talking about Memphis, having to play Texas in Houston potentially is very difficult. And then Stanford is a very tough 3, a Final Four caliber team. And Pittsburgh, again, a little bit surprised to see Pittsburgh as a 4. I thought they deserved a 3, but that's a small quibble.
Seth, let's stay right there when you talk about Pittsburgh. Sean Farnham here. And Seth, they're healthy. They just won the Big East tournament. How far can they go? Can they pull off an upset because of style of play against Memphis?
Well, it's exactly the kind of team, Sean, as you know, that Memphis would have a hard time playing because they can control possessions. And again, you got to evaluate Pittsburgh now as a healthy team with LaVance Fields. This is the team, of course, that beat Duke back in Madison Square Garden. They played very well in the Big East, lost a lot of games, and now that he's healthy again, hey, they just won 4 games in 4 days. So that's a tough matchup for Memphis. So I think Memphis will win the ball game, but I think it's the kind of team, Clark, that Memphis would have trouble with.
Yeah, I agree with you because it's a tough team. It's a physical team, good size on the perimeter. DeJuan Blair is an absolute monster in the paint when you think about his width and his length and his explosiveness. I mean, this is a guy that creates problems at both ends of the floor in the paint. But again, Pittsburgh has been as hot and as healthy as they've been all season long, and that typically bodes well going into the tournament. It's not a guarantee that that'll continue, but you certainly like to be healthy and on a roll versus going the other way.
Guys, going into the tournament, let's bring it back out to the East. Clark, I have a question for you. With the East, you have Louisville, you have Tennessee, you have UNC, you have Oklahoma. It looks like a pretty pounded bracket. Who do you see coming out of the East?
I'm going with North Carolina. I think they're the most balanced team in the field other than perhaps UCLA and Kansas. When you talk about perimeter play at both ends of the floor, offense and defense, the ability to get things done inside, their experience level, I just think North Carolina, probably along with UCLA and Kansas, maybe the least flawed of your teams in the field. So I would go with North Carolina out of there, although Tennessee and Louisville both would be my second picks if North Carolina were to get upset somewhere.
Greg, the three of you spend so much time together during this run. Are the three of you as close as you appear on television?
No,
I'm trying to leave
please.
right now.
We all have taxis waiting outside. We all have flights. We all want to get the heck out of here and can't stand to see each other. But then we'll be friends again come noon Thursday.
There you go.
Oh, I love the brutal honesty. Greg Gumbel, Clark Kellogg, Seth Davis of CBS Sports. Thank you so much.